what's about to happen. I just want you to know how this works. I want you to be real clear how this works. Death is the last horse to ride, right? It's a pale horse. His name is Death, his rider. And who follows with him? Hell. Hell is going to be filled to the brim. How do you fill hell to the brim? Death has to take him out so you can take him down. Do you understand that? Somebody has to die. Who's going to die? Every person in sin. Where does judgment first begin? At the house of God. Did you just do that math? Let's do it. Let's do it together. Let's do a little bit of math together real fast. Let's go right down here. And let's understand that you're not going to play games with God. But your fake churches are leading you to it. But these devils are going to pay for it. Meanwhile, I'm trying to get you out of the trap. So they didn't like to retain God in their knowledge, it says right here. That's not saying that they are atheists. This is saying that they don't like to speak about the things God said. They want to manipulate that or keep that or omit that. They like to have God spoken to them in a way that's more easy for them to process. Right? So they don't want to talk about judgment. They don't want to talk about those things. They want to talk about good things. So that's to omit God in their knowledge. Indeed, they don't want to retain God in their knowledge. That's why they still sin. That's why they excuse sin. That's why they justify themselves while being in sin because they claim the name of Christ and so on. So what does God do? God will give them over to a reprobate mind to do. What does it mean to do? To fulfill. When you have a reprobate mind, you fulfill sin. So he turns them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient, being filled with all unrighteousness. Doesn't matter what kind, it's all of it. And to get the whole 9 yards is in unrighteousness, period. Fornication. How many of you know a person who claims Christ who's a fornicator? They're a reprobate mind. Fornicators, wickedness, covetousness. How many of you know Christians who are covetous? You're on the list. You're a reprobate. Maliciousness. That means wishing ill will towards other people, having a hateful, grudging mindset or from the heart towards another person, hatefulness, bitterness, envious, wishing them harm, and so on. Maliciousness, full of envy or murder. Jesus said, you hate your neighbor, you're a murderer. How many Christians you know are murderers? Millions. Hating their neighbor. Debate. This is people who want to argue and debate the word of God. They're argumentative. Do not want to receive instruction. Deceit, malignity, whisperers. How many of you know women who get around and gossip about other people behind their backs? Spreading information and news about some person that's not righteous. That's whisperers. They're in the background whispering things. Those are reprobates. Backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents. How many of you know some of them? Without understanding. Didn't God tell you straight up? Didn't Jesus tell you that even that you think that you have, even that shall be taken from you? The devil will take your understanding. Well, they're right here. It's most of your churches. Covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful, who know in the judgment of God that they which commit such things are worthy of what? Death. Let's read that again. Who know in the judgment of God that they which commit such things are worthy of death. Now, I want you to sit down for a second, and I want you to think about this for real. If this Bible said the people who commit such sinful deeds are worthy of death, then why would your churches be telling you there's no way to stop? That we all still sin? Well, then you would be right. There's an agenda to keep you in sin. And that's as far as it needs to go. You don't need to know the depths of Satan, really. You just need to know he exists and he's running the show. That's what you need to know. That's what you need to know. And if you knew he was running the show and he's in disguise, dressed up like an angel of light and his ministers as ministers of righteousness, then you better understand that every single person claiming the name of Christ is suspect. It says right here that knowing the judgment of God, that they which commit such things are worthy of death, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them. So not only do you do these sinful things, but you are friends with other people who do the same sinful things. You are worthy of death, a reprobate. So the devil's job, so he can't go against God. He can only do what he's allowed to do within the parameters God has given him. He's allowed to lie to you. It is your job to work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. The problem is most of you bypass that thing working out your own salvation. And you just ran straight to the fake church and listened to them tell you whatever and said, oh, I got it on my checklist. I'm good to go. But you're on the list. You're right here on this list. It's not the only place this list is located in this Bible. They don't want you to understand these things because there is a war for souls. It says here, it says, let not sin therefore reign in your mortal body, that you should obey it in the lust thereof. Neither yield you your members as instruments of unrighteousness unto sin, but yield yourselves unto God as those that are alive from the dead, and your members as instruments of righteousness unto God. For sin shall not have dominion over you. For you're not under the law, but under grace. The law kept you in sin. It kept you in the flesh, and it could not free you from sin and make you righteous. But grace, who brought grace?
Jesus Christ.
Jesus. That is a small window for you to turn from your sin with all faith on Jesus Christ to cleanse you, forgive you, and cleanse you of all sin. That's what grace did. So sin would no longer have dominion over you. So you would no longer be subject to sin. You would no longer be a person who fulfilled sin. You would be freed from sin and therefore dead to sin. You see, what then? Shall we sin because we're not under the law but under grace? God forbid. Know ye not that to whom you yield yourself servants to obey, his servants you are, to whom you obey. So the devil set up fake church and told you there's no way to be freed from sin. Therefore, in doing so, if you believed him and listened to him, that's called leaven, and a little leaven leavens a whole lump. So if you listen to a little bit of that, the whole 9 yards will be stripped from you. And now you will think there's no way to be freed from sin. You will even go so far as to blaspheme God and say that you're now justified when you commit sin, because God doesn't see your sin. He sees Jesus on the cross. Do you understand this? So the devil sold you nonsense so that you would be the servant of whom you obey. He's taking you down. It says, whether of sin unto death or of obedience unto righteousness. But look at 17, that they really don't want you to get into. But God be thanked that you were the servants of sin, but you have obeyed from the heart that form of doctrine which was delivered you, being then made free from sin. You see that? Made free from sin. You became the servants of righteousness. Jesus told us something about this servant thing. How many servants can you obey?
Just one.
Can you obey two?
No, sir.
Huh. And here it says, you be made free from sin, you'll become the servants of righteousness. So you can't serve two masters. Look, when you were the servants of sin, you were free from righteousness. So if you are obedient to sin, you have no righteousness. You are tainted. You are corrupt. What fruit had you then in those things, whereof you are now ashamed? For the end of those things is death. Now, is this death at the nursing home?
No, sir.
No, because that death is the first death, and the first death is common to all men, both righteous and unrighteous, both the obedient and disobedient. For it is appointed unto man once to die, and after that the judgment. So this death is a specific death, which is tied unto this thing here, sin. That means it is the second death, and the second death is the lake of fire. There are two resurrections. What are those two resurrections?
The resurrection of the just and the resurrection
Right.
of the damned.
The resurrection of the just, that word just means the righteous. The resurrection of the righteous and the resurrection of the damned. So you're all going to wake up and surprise. Those who are damned, their name is not in the book of life, the Lamb's book of life, and you will be destroyed for eternity. You see this verse 22? You might want to read it very carefully. It says, but now, being made free from sin and become servants to God, you have your fruit unto holiness, and the end, everlasting life. 22. Verse 22 is what you better be, or you don't get the everlasting life.